The topic of this session is going to be on how China is leading the fight against climate breakdown. Just before that, some information we've received. Unfortunately, we've heard that George Galloway was recently detained under the Terrorism Act coming into Gatwick, and that's why he wasn't able to make today's meeting. This is shocking news, but not surprising given the fascist turn we're seeing in this country and the repression, the political repression that's being laid out against everyone. Presumably this is to do with George Galloway's Palestine solidarity, and obviously we oppose this fascist act and send our solidarity to George and his family. So as mentioned, the topic of this one is, sorry, it's cutting out. Can you hear me? The topic of this one is China is leading the fight against climate breakdown. It's possibly one of the lesser controversial topics concerning China. Even people who don't normally consider themselves friends of China, the mainstream press, are recognizing the enormous contributions that China is making. They can't deny, reality. Every week we're hit by statistics which are, truly staggering and show both the scale of China's ambition and, more importantly, what it's able to achieve. Just a couple of examples of those statistics. In 2025, China built 80% of the world's solar panels, 60% of the world's wind turbines, 70% of electric vehicles, 75% of batteries. It installs more green energy than the rest of the world combined. In the first 5 months of this year, it's installed, around 250 gigawatts of energy, which is equivalent to entire countries like Indonesia or Turkey. In recent years, this year or last year, it's been observed that China's CO2 emissions may have peaked, which was 5 years ahead of the planned targets for that achievement. The reason China is able to achieve these incredible successes when more developed countries are unable to is due to the centralized leadership of the Communist Party of China and their economic control, fundamentally. This enables rational, long-term planning, and as I mentioned, these things are often completed ahead of schedule. Chinese President Xi Jinping has some prominent policies and concepts, the ecological civilization and the clear waters and green mountains, which push these policies and actions forwards. We don't really need to spend too much time comparing with this country. We certainly don't have clear waters in our country. And in America, the chaotic political system means there's constant flopping in terms of environmental policy, not that they've ever been particularly enthusiastic about it. And China is now exporting this qualitative shift in energy globally in the way that they are also changing and solidifying the global institutions for diplomacy, governance, finance, and others. Now, in ecological infrastructure, they're building an alternative to the Western destructive system. One of these methods is the Belt and Road Initiative, and the announcements in recent years of a rejection of coal power plants involved with the Belt and Road Initiative is truly world-changing. These improved tech in solar, wind, nuclear, and other green industries allow for global South nations and developing nations to pursue more viable, sustainable development paths. It's a kind of leapfrogging of tech. In some countries, they skipped from landlines and just started with mobile phones, and now we're seeing in developing nations that they can skip fossil infrastructure and move straight ahead to green industries. And China's model supports this with equitable financing and win-win partnerships in terms of their diplomatic approach. And even, as I mentioned, somewhere like the New York Times, which is not considered any friend of China, recently wrote an article about wind farms being built in Laos. And they said, where American bombs once fell, Chinese wind turbines now rise, which just encapsulates the whole differing approach. And we should be recognizing the importance of this in terms of geopolitics. Green infrastructure is more resilient in terms of imperialist encirclement and also natural disasters. So by building this kind of infrastructure, it allows sovereign nations to resist imperialist aggression. And we've seen this in the case of China rebuilding Cuba's energy infrastructure, which also helps it in terms of the frequent tropical cyclones and so on that affect it. And when you consider that China has exported green tech to 191 out of the 192 UN member states in the last year, it shows the extent of this geopolitical shift. So to learn more about this world historic transformation, we've got some excellent speakers who will go deeper into these questions. So I should have introduced myself as well. My name's David Peat. I'm the secretary with the Friends of Socialist China Britain Committee and also an editor with Iskra Books. You can come and talk to me upstairs later on.